get into the world of baking right away, given that I burned down my parents' kitchen when I was 12. My mother became hysterical, and I was not allowed to cook again. So it was not natural for me to end up here. I started cooking and baking when I got married, and I was a college student. So I learned from books, and I discovered I loved it. I really, really loved it. When I was getting interested in baking, it wasn't a time for an educated woman to be in the kitchen. It wasn't time for somebody who had a doctorate in gerontology, and you didn't go from an education like that into the kitchen. And so I worked and worked and worked, and then I had our son Joshua, and I couldn't face going back. And that's when I started to bake professionally. I loved everything about food, and I still do. It's the same, nothing has changed in all these years. I love the ingredients. I love that you start with something that looks one way and finishes, and it looks completely different. And this is really true of baking. I mean, baking is like magic. You have butter, you have flour, you have sugar, you have eggs. You look at them, you have no idea what they're going to become. They can become 1,000 things. They can be a cake, they can be a cookie, they can be an eclair, they can be anything. It's that kind of transformation. It's the excitement of taking raw ingredients, transforming them. You're really making them into something else. So I've been baking for decades. For all the time that I've been baking, I've tried to figure out how to make sweets one of the major food groups. But they're not. We really don't need them. But we love them. And you rarely bake for yourself. You bake to share. You make something that you give to someone. It's an act of generosity. It's an act of love. It's now more than 30 years that I've been doing this. I still pinch myself that I'm so lucky to be able to do this. It's so selfish. I bake for the pleasure of it. I bake for the sheer pleasure of feeling ingredients, working with ingredients. I bake for the pleasure of having a bowl of cookies that I can say, here, have one. I made them. I made them for you.